I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
And a happy Sunday fun day to everybody out there. Scott Duff here and the triumphant return of Ellen Miller.
Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. How was your trip?
My trip was, it's always wonderful to be on that blues cruise that I go on every year. I'm very fortunate to be able to do it.
Absolutely.
Except when I left, Joe Biden was president. Doesn't that seem like a century ago?
It seemed, yeah, it's only been 3 weeks, not even
I left
3
the
full weeks.
Day before the inauguration.
Yep. Blah.
Welcome
it's been
back
a new
to
world.
the poop I'm coming back to a whole new world.
Oh, yeah, no, but don't you dare close your eyes.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, that's
Wide
the
open.
thing that we need to do. Yeah, well, it's
a lot of people are closing their eyes, but we'll talk about that.
They most certainly are. They most certainly are. It has been just a mind-blowing week of attacks on our democracy, and we're going to do our best to give you some info and some resources, as well as some much-needed distractions. Oh, boy, do we need distractions right now. But everything feels like a giant distraction these days. With all of the madness in the world, chances are it's probably taking an emotional toll on you. And the LGBT National Help Center provides vital peer support, community connections, and resource information through helplines and online chat rooms. Founder and President Brad Becker is going to be joining us later this hour to give us some information. Tell us a little bit more about that. And we've got distractions. We got distractions. It's the big game today, so we're combating that with artsy-fartsy stuff.
We'll talk about that. There could be some interesting things going on today.
With what?
We'll talk about that with the guest, the first time ever that the
Ding Dong there.
Ding Dong would be there.
Yeah,
that could bring out a whole new bunch of stuff, but we'll talk about that.
Oh, all right. Well, I'll look forward to it. Well, Broadway Magic is coming to Chicago.
Yes,
that's all I care.
Happy.
Broadway
happy
Magic
news.
is coming here. Chicago with the return of Seth's Broadway concert series at the Studebaker Theater in the historic Fine Arts Building. Yeah, that means the one and only Seth Rudetsky, Sirius XM Broadway host and music director, is going to be welcoming Tony Award winner Jesse Mueller on February 15th. That is this Saturday. A lovely post-Valentine's Day concert.
A whole weekend of Valentine things.
A whole thing of love. We're going to be
cap.
speaking with both Seth Rudetsky and Jesse Mueller here. So excited.
Yeah.
I mean, she's hometown girl does good.
That does great.
That family is ridiculously talented.
Unbelievable.
They
Four of
are
them.
all just like the parents, the kids, all of them. It's like the Von Trapps.
It is.
They are like the Von Trapps. It's just incredible. And hey, along with more artsy and fartsy, Jackalope Theater Company's 17th season continues with the U.S. premiere of one of the hits of the 2024 Edinburgh Fringe Festival, Dummy in Diaspora. It's going to be running February 26th through March 23rd. It's written and performed by Rasho, and directed by Karina Patel. It's a coming-of-age solo play about a Middle Eastern American boy whose parents are refugees. As I said, it was a huge hit in Edinburgh. And Rasho joins us in the second hour.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah, and of course, we would love to hear from you. Oh my God, my camera moved. We'd love to hear from you. So give us a call at 773-763-9278. The number again is 773-763-9278. Of course, you can find us on Facebook where we're coming at you live. Just head on over to Out Chicago Radio and give us a click and a like and a share and all that good stuff. But if that doesn't float your boat, you can always tune in on WCPT AM 820. While you're at it, follow WCPT and Heartland Signal on all of the social medias. You can also just ask your smart speaker to play WCPT on the TuneIn app.
Yeah.
There we go.
Just say play it.
So Ellen Miller, you were gone.
I was gone.
You were relaxed. You were bluesy.
We were bluesing, but we do have our phones. In the old days, we were like incommunicado, but now, most of us buy internet packages so we can keep in touch with the world. I'm still working and in real estate, and things happen. So my roommate and my friends, we were like, we go to dinner and be like, oh man, did you see what happened today? It's like, because, I left 4 days after the inauguration. And it's like the world completely changed in those 2 weeks since I've been on the air. But we'll talk about that. I had a fabulous time. The weather was great. The camaraderie is great. I played probably a dozen times with different people on the ship. I made some nice new relationships with young upcoming blues artists. a young man named Dylan Triplett from Memphis had me up as he invited me to be a guest, do a guest appearance on his regular show.
All right, come on now.
He said, do you have anything black? Do you have black and gold? I said, as a matter of fact, I did pack for the first time ever a black and gold shirt. So it was perfect.
Okay.
It was perfect.
Outfits. I didn't know that was like, I'm like, what is black and gold?
No, he told me to dress.
Is that a special kind of harmonica, a special harp?
No, that would be cool. Black and gold harp would be cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got to play a lot of the camaraderie. Like I said, the weather's good. But we were kind of not trying to get deep into it, but we kind of knew you couldn't not look at your phone when you saw a headline, like the different kinds of headlines that we saw coming through. But anyway, we'll talk about that. I know today. It's good to be back. My dog's doing well. We've had a little slumber party at my house the last couple days.
What?
My last night we went and saw The Cave at a Red Orchid. It was the world premiere by Sadia Rafai. I think I pronounced your name right. It's based on her life story.
Sadia Rafai.
Yeah.
And she's a Chicago person.
She is Chicago area. She's from downstate, but she's lived in the Chicago area for a long time. And this is her first play. And wow, what a wonderful first performance and play this is, a work by her. It's about her life. She has her father was from the Middle East, and it talks about their struggles as a family and moving from Las Vegas to Columbus. And our dear friend Natalie West plays it's not a huge role, but it's a pivotal, funny, fantastic role. Plays the grandma, and got all the laughs, of course. So we want to support we support a Red Orchid, but we also like to support Natalie.
Love that.
Who's probably listening because she stayed overnight this weekend.
Part of the slumber party.
And my friend Jan Brock was visiting from Oakland. She's an old XRT co-worker of mine back in the day. We've remained great friends. So we've just been having a ball this weekend.
Now, was Sadia in the show?
No, Sadia is not in the show. She is she was at all the rehearsals, of course, but she wrote it. And she wrote, like the part of Natalie, when she wrote it, she did have Natalie in mind, for instance, of playing that role. And it's compelling. It's like it's a family story, and I know family stories like August Osage County. I mean, they purpose. I mean, I'm drawn to them. I think audiences are drawn to them. Mm-hmm. People can relate to them in different ways, and it's a great first work for her, and hopefully the run will be successful. It goes until March 16th, so. Do go see The Cave. It's a Red Orchid is one of our small gem of a theaters here in Chicago, right there in Old Town. It's an intimate space. It doesn't get much more intimate than that space on Wells, and I think you'll enjoy it. So, yeah, got my theater on pretty quick after getting back home.
Right on.
Got home Sunday night. Went to the Fitzgerald to see my mentor Billy Branch do his Blues Day Tuesday show, which was a lot of fun. He brought me up for a quick surprise guest spot towards the end of the show. So, back in Chicago, trying to focus on the arts and the positives because, folks, there's not much we can really do except, call your people. If you're listening to us in states where you have, Congress people and senators that are Republicans, get on them. I hear that their phone lines have never been busier, which is good because the people need to speak up. But just immerse yourself in the arts. We have a great city. We're going to have some great guests on today. They're going to talk about the wonderful things that they're doing here in Chicago. And that is our saving grace. That is what will get us through, is our joy and keeping our heads above water and trying not to don't let them get to you, even though I know it's not easy. Mm-hmm. Because watching the dismantling of our democracy in the last 2 weeks has been
it's just
heartbreaking.
Staggering.
And if you're not heartbroken by it, you don't have a heart.
Yeah, I don't understand. Yes. I really I don't understand it. I don't get how people can be behind him. I don't understand how people think that this man is going to has anybody's interest other than himself. They
are blinded by propaganda and lies.
Yeah, that is where we are. We are in this strange bubble where we're in the upside down. We're in the upside down. There is no other. Look, this man ran for office so he could avoid jail and enact retribution. And he's going after all of his perceived political enemies.
As he said he would.
That is as he said he would, and that is the only reason. And now he's fine. He's president, and SCOTUS has said that anything he does as president falls under the role of the duties of the office, so he can do whatever the heck he wants.
The checks and balances are just not.
No, because you've got the lapdogs of people out there you've got Speaker Johnson, who is just going to be falling right in place. There are no such things as checks and balances anymore. It is absolutely mind blowing, and I'm trying to figure out how to, as you said, to keep head above water and to keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
It's very disconcerting right now.
It is for people that know what's going on, that are informed as to what's going on, who have empathy for people around the world that USAID helps. Our trans community, my God, I we'll talk about this. I know doctors that are worried and scared that work on gender affirming surgeries, and just it's affecting just so many.
It's not even
levels.
Surgeries we're talking about.
Just care. It's care. It's care.
Gender affirming care.
I know it's care. It's not just surgeries, right?
Yes,
it's care.
That is what everybody's
He's a surgeon,
worried
but
about.
It's care in general, and that they're just cutting it off cold turkey. They're worried that they're going to be fired, that the people are going to be left in the midst of treatment that is just going to be in limbo. I mean, they keep talking about why is diversity. Why is DEI such a bad, dirty word? What have they done to this?
Here's what we need to do. We need to stop calling it DEI.
Yeah, you're right.
We need to call it diversity, equity and inclusion.
I know.
And I want somebody out there who is really, really for getting rid of all these DEI policies and moving on that language. Which part of diversity, equity, and inclusion do you not like? Which part is it? Is it the diversity part?
The part that's not straight and white. That's the part they don't like. And male.
Okay, I need them to say it. I need them to say it. I want them to say exactly to me, what is going on here? What part
It's not even a dog whistle. It's just right out there. It
is just right out there. It is, as I've said before, racism has been turned up to 11 right now. And again, please, out there, somebody tell me, which part do you not like? Do you not like the diversity part? Do you not like the equity part? Do you not like the inclusion part? Which part of that is offensive to you?
They are under the illusion that someone that is part of what is quote unquote under the umbrella of diversity, equity, and inclusion is someone that does not deserve that position. What they don't understand is we put these things in place because people that were different, whether they were their skin color was different, whether they were women, whether they were I can't think today. Disabled, exactly.
There's a
non-binary,
whole bunch of things. Let's get rid of gender identity and all that.
But the point is, we needed to do this to give them a chance to get up to bat. They still have to have the skills for these jobs that they get. They're not just getting the jobs because they were a woman or because they were black or whatever, or disabled. They're getting the jobs because
they're qualified.
They're qualified for the jobs. Mm-hmm. And in the past, these people were othered and were cast off for people that look just like the ones hiring them. And so I was trying to explain to somebody, he said, it's good to be a white male again. I can feel like I have a fair shot at things. Like, give me a break. These people we're giving people a chance to not be dismissed because of how they look or who they are, or who they pray to. And I think there's just a big misunderstanding, and they don't want to hear the truth. These people do not want to hear the truth.
Well, again, exactly. This is what I want to know. Which part of diversity, equity, and inclusion
do you have a problem with?
You take most umbrage with? Like, which part of that is it? Because it makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. And especially especially, and the thing that's making me just throw up in my mouth is these people who are falling and like using the banner of Christianity. Oh. Like these are Christian morals. Like all of these Christian morals that you are, I don't see them at all.
Absolutely opposite to what quote unquote Christ's teachings were supposed to be about.
Do not see it. And it's not quote unquote Christ's teachings. It's Christ's teachings. You know, it is like you are supposed to help the sick, help the poor, love your neighbor. You are supposed to welcome the stranger.
It's selective Christianity.
None of this, but it's not like I don't like
their version.
And the people that they're going after, attacking right now, is they're going after the trans community in particular right now, and they're aiming at the wrong 1%. They're aiming at the wrong 1%. Trans folks in this country make about 1% of the people in this country. There's a 1% at the other end of the spectrum that holds all of the wealth. If you have 3 people that make up 50% of the wealth of this country,
what does that
and
say?
one of them has been given the keys to the country. He's got his little crypto kids running around. I've got a whole bunch to say about those little ding-dongs, those incel brats that are running around. I mean, these kids are like, most of them are under 25. Let's remember that adolescence extends through 25 years old. Your brain is still developing. I have no doubt that they are very capable and very good at their tech jobs and their IT and their hacking and all that stuff that they do. But they have been in these, who are these people that are that young? I believe there's one that is 19.
Yeah,
19. That is up there. What has he been doing? How was his life?
What's his life experience?
What is his life? Well, what is his life experience? And like, let's say what his life experience has been. He's been locked in a room, shuttered away, looking at a screen, hacking away, doing everything, being shunned probably by his peers, and now. Could you imagine being that young and somebody saying, here's all this power that you can have? What moral standing are you going to use to move forward with this, to make these decisions are not good? This is harmful. This is illegal. Like it is ridiculous what's going on right now, and I'm getting hopping mad. I'm getting very, very, very mad these days at people who are letting this happen. The waste and fraud that they keep talking about, that they're getting rid of. No. What they want to do is they want to privatize everything.
Yes, that's what they want to do.
So they can make money.
Correct.
They want to privatize everything so they can make money off of us. How your eggs doing? How your eggs? That's what I want to ask. Because I know where I work, we ain't got eggs after 2:00.
Yeah, I'm more mad with the people of this country than I am of who they elected, because it's shame on them. Shame on them for being so selfish.
Well, I don't. Yeah, yes and no. Blah blah blah. It's like whatever. They put him in. They're gonna have to deal with the consequences as well. But the thing that I cannot believe, it is just cruel. It is vindictive. And it is dangerous what is happening right now. It is nothing. And the people that are so filled with glee, we're talking about joy, people that are filled with joy about taking marginalized communities and squashing them down. In comedy, we talk this whole rule about punching up. You want to punch up. You go after people who with a higher status than you. This whole thing has just been nothing but let's go after the most vulnerable people. Let's go at the whole getting rid of federal jobs.
It's like sadistic.
That whole thing, the civil servants, a great majority of them are black. They're the people that are going to be affected. Like these are the community. It's just.
It's hateful. It's very hateful.
All right, clearly Scott has been tuning into the news once again. So I'm hopping mad. I would be hopping right now, but I'm in a chair.
And you're not alone.
There we go. And I know I'm not alone, but
it's on everybody's mind. We all go out and we say, let's not talk about it, but it's on everybody's mind.
I think now's the time that we do have to talk about it.
So
I think
too.
we do have to talk about it because it's only been 3 weeks. How long did it take Hitler?
57 days or something? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we really need to be talking about this right now. And then we would love to hear from you. Please give us a call, 773-763-9278. That number again, 773-763-9278. Oof. I'm exhausted already.
Me too.
Dear Lord. We should probably take a break so we can have a quick little nap time and some water and everything. But before we go, this part of Out Chicago is brought to you by Team Hochberg. Hey, attention listeners, financial planners, CPAs, and divorce attorneys. If you are wondering why your mortgage professionals have returned your calls, it's probably because they are one of the over 156,000 mortgage professionals who didn't renew their license over the past 24 months. If you're purchasing a new home or refinance your existing home, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local lender. So in the past 24 months, while other companies have been shutting down and loan officers are not renewing their licenses, Team Hochberg has been adding loan officers, and it's stronger than ever and would love to earn your business. Let's review. In the past 24 months, mortgage companies have closed and over 165,000 loan officers exited the mortgage business, while Team Hochberg has expanded and is stronger than ever. If you'd like to work with experienced mortgage professionals, call Team Hochberg now at 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. The number again is 855-563-2843 or visit 56david.com. Lower.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 1124061. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, there's more Out Chicago plus your calls right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
I'm Israel Wright with National Gay and Lesbian Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome back to Out Chicago on WCPT.
And welcome back to Out Chicago, a particularly spicy Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen
world.
Miller. It is a spicy world. Actually, it's not spicy. It's just bland with cruelty and dumbness.
It is cruelty.
It is.
It feels
it's just
like a
big
lot of cruelty.
Yeah, there we go. But it's not. Thank you for tuning into WCPT. We appreciate all the listeners out there. And this week on Choose Views, Richard will be talking to the president of the National A. Philip Randolph Pullman Porter Museum, the executive director of the Center for Popular Democracy, the director of Illinois PIRG, and Dr. William Keyes IV, author of The Stories They Hear, Expecting Greatness as the Key to Success, a book that just came out last week. So Choose Views weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. Central on WCPT AM 820, the Heartland Signal website, tune in, YouTube, and Facebook. Speaking of news and all that stuff, okay, kids, look, media break is over. We really need folks to be informed, and we've got to start taking some action.
Yes.
That is what I'm kind of realizing right now. And again, I think we need to start just by acting local. We can't do, I will continue to say this probably throughout, I don't know, the next 57 days to see what happens if we turn into the 47th Reich. There we are. But we got to think local. Things are too big on the federal level that you can get overwhelmed. So we need to really be focused on what you can do at home. And, even just little simple things too. If you are a business owner or even in a management position of where you work and you have some trans or non-binary folks, check in on them. Just ask how they're doing. That will be a huge thing for your workplace, for you to go into to understand that these valued employees, that these people that work with you and for you in some cases, but mostly we work together. We work with them. Just to check in. I know folks are going bananas. Yesterday I was trying to. I was working on putting the show together, and I kept getting text messages from my friends who are parents of trans kids, who are like, what's going on with Lori's children's hospital? They have stopped doing, because of federal funding being pulled, they have stopped general gender care that's happening there. Like, what do we do? And I'm looking everywhere for, are people protesting? What are actions that we can take? What's going on? And I'm sending out here's this number, here's this sort of thing. Here's people are really freaked out.
With good reason.
With very good reason. But I think we need to really focus on what we can do here at home. And here's one of the best things that we can do right now is you can call or email your elected officials. It does really, really help. And especially if you just want to email something, it takes you, 30 seconds to fire off an email or something. But calling people really, really helps. But here are some things that you need to remember. Excuse me. Make sure that you are contacting your own your representative. As much as I want to get on the horn and go yell at Marsha Blackburn, yell at
whoever,
Nancy Mace. As much as I want to yell at them, whatever, that's not going to do anything because you are not their constituents. So you need to make sure that you are contacting your representative. And if you don't know who that is, to find out your state representative, you can go to house.gov, and to find out who your two state senators, because both of them do the whole state, you go to senate.gov. That's for everybody out there, all right? And then you want to go down to the bottom of their page and find out their district office information, and that is the number that you need to call. Now, you need to have a script ready, even if it's like bullet points so that you remember exactly what's going on, or if you want to write out an entire script, just be very concise, know exactly what you want to talk about. Like if you're calling about and make sure that you're very specific about it, because if you're just going to call up and get very, very mad about Elon Musk going on, do something about him. Well, what thing do you want us to do? You need to be very specific about what is the action that you're helping. And generally keep it to one issue while you're doing this.
That's hard. That's the hardest part.
Right. Well, no, but here's the part. Then you email them multiple times. You call back multiple times. At the beginning of the week, the usual number of phone calls to the U.S. Congress was 40 calls a minute. It was up to 1,600.
Yeah, it's breaking all records
a minute.
Right.
We need to do things. We need to find out, if it's the Department of Education that you are upset about, then make sure you're very specific about, I'm concerned about what is happening at the Department of Education. And you need to ask for a response. You need to ask for a response from your elected official, because if you don't, what's going to happen is they will register a complaint is basically what it comes down to, and it'll be filed. But if you ask for a response,
good to know.
They've got to get back to you. And also ask for an action item, whether it is, I need you to get on TV more, I need you to speak out against the illegal actions that are happening with these Doge people and the crypto kids. You need to, I need you to tell me, what are you going to do in support of the Department of Education? I need you to tell me what you are going to do to help stop these mass firings in federal agencies. What are you going to do? You need to be very specific and have an action item with that. And that is something that we can do right now.
Yep. Yeah, and social media is full of, scripts. So you talked about, here's a script. People are really sharing. If people feel that lost, they don't know what to write. There's plenty of resources. You can Google. You can go on social media.
Absolutely, but again, make sure you're calling your elected official. Make sure that you have your bullet points so that you're not just rambling. You go through, be like, here, this is what I'm doing. Ask for a response and ask for an action, because then they have to get back to you, and you can hold elected officials accountable to what's going on. There we go. Let's go to the phones here. Let's talk to John in Hammond. Welcome. You're on Out Chicago.
Hey, good morning, folks.
Good morning.
I just kind of put you at ease a little bit.
Okay. Looking forward to that.
Well, in 1964, Congress passed the Civil Rights Act, and Title VII says, and I'm just going to read this thing. I think I could do two things at once. It says, it prohibits discrimination in employment based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Can you hear me? Did you hear that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, so my point is this, very simply, stand on the law. That is the law. If DEI is gone, okay, so be it. it was like affirmative action was gone with the Supreme Court. Wasn't that a year or two ago? Affirmative action was kind of
It's gone from certain aspects, from like colleges and education. But again,
So,
let's call it diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes. Okay. Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Thank
and my
you.
point is, just stand on the law. Nobody can discriminate against you. No employer can. Let's be specific. No employer can discriminate against you based on your sex. Let's get right down to it. So therefore, stand on that, and whatever your orientation is, stand on that. So these bullies need to be punched in the nose, and the way you do that is just stand true to the law, and that'll get us through this period. I really fundamentally believe that, and I wanted to share that with you.
Well, thank you,
Thanks,
John.
John.
Thank you very much, John, for pointing that out. Yes, there are a lot of legal protections that are going on. But right now, it seems like there's no such thing as the law.
We got to start from square one if everybody gets fired to get their
but not
jobs
even
back.
But
I mean,
it's just
like
you've got a Supreme Court that is stacked.
Yes.
I'm like they Title VII or whatever. I believe it was Title VII. Maybe it was Title IX. Talking about like gender, like just on the basis of sex, also went to gender and how people express themselves. Thank goodness. Ding Dong is throwing out these weirdo things about like, oh, we're gonna bring back plastic straws.
I missed that one.
Oh yeah, it was like, I'm like, oh, that's a really important order that you're in. Like, and now it's going to be illegal, and funds will be held if trans women play in sports. So if you are a part of the NCAA,
That was big news the other day.
yeah, and
for
it's like,
10 women.
It's about 40, out of the 150,000 collegiate athletes that are out there. Again, it is just kind of mind blowing, and
Yeah, it's like a bunch of hate is the way I look at it.
it
It's
really
very
is,
hateful,
and
all of it.
it's cruel.
It's cruel. And to turn back the clock on climate change, the red states have gotten more funding because of issues with extreme weather events than any place, other than California. But I mean, it's been Texas, Louisiana, Florida, those states.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to turn back the clock on climate change? I mean,
well, because we're no longer a part of it.
No, I mean, we're living in the upside down, like you said.
Yeah, it is. It's just bananas. Let's go back to the phones. Karen in Oakland, welcome. You're on Out Chicago.
Hi, good morning, afternoon. Happy Superb Owl Day for what it's worth. This is big game going on in Nolens today.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I thought the big game was when Ohio State won, but anyway, I heard much about from the trans conservative community, but very, very, very small part. Like for example, this is adult film star Buck Angel, who's a trans man, but hasn't had bottom surgery yet. Like to flaunt his vajayjay in his work doesn't mean he can't go to the airports anyway because the TSA would really, really pat him down. Or does Caitlyn Jenner still get to use the bathroom she identifies with, in the Capitol? Does she have to go all the way to Trump's personal bathroom to use it? Because Congress wants to put a blanket ban on the restroom use in D.C. So those sort of minor things that I think about. I don't know if I can convince all my Congress people here are all Democrats, so that's good. But I don't know if I can ask my, cousin's congressperson downstate in Murfreesboro or whatever to get on our side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Karen, here's the thing. I think it'd be great for everybody just to call. It's something that you can do.
Your friend Alexander Billings, does she have to go cross country by car now because they'll stop stop her at the airport.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yes, thank you, Karen, for giving us a call.
Thanks,
I
Karen.
really appreciate it. It's Caitlyn Jenner. That train
Does
wreck.
she still identify as a Republican?
Yes, of course she does. Of course she does. She.
Talk about self-hating. Oh my
Well,
God.
and she's also somebody who's like grown up. She transitioned late in life. She transitioned after a lifetime of white male privilege. She still has like the internalized misogyny. She still thinks that she's entitled to all of the white male privilege that's happening, and doesn't realize that most of the people who she supports doesn't think that she should exist. As I said, she's going to have to pick a bathroom. Let's go back also when Ding Dong ran the first time, and he was like, "Oh, people can pee wherever they want to pee."
He said that?
Yeah. Do you remember there was a huge thing of like Caitlyn Jenner like walking into a bathroom in Trump Tower being like, "I can pee here because that's what blah blah says." I don't even want to say his name, and I'm like, okay. Well, that's not the case, and federal funding will be pulled from the Trump Towers. Could you imagine all the federal funding that's going in there just in terms of like Secret Service, all these other people that are popping in here? Like things are crazy right now. Things are crazy. It is madness in the world. And actually we should probably take a break for doing for all that madness, because we will come back and we're going to be speaking with somebody who can help out with the madness, the LGBT National Help Center. But also just a reminder, this week on Live, Local, and Progressive, Jonas Bazito will be talking to Courier Newsroom correspondents Cameron Stevenson and Colin Booth, Salon.com's Amanda Marcotte, the Tribune's environmental reporter Michael Hawthorne, ProPublica's Brett Murphy, DePaul's journalist in residence Chris Berry, Wisconsin Congressman Mark Pocan, and more. Live, Local, and Progressive, weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Central on WCPT AM, the Heartland Signal website, and on TuneIn. We're going to take a break, and we're going to hopefully find give you some resources to help with your anxiety with all the things that are going on in the world. So please stick around. You're listening to Out Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
Hey, this is Mark Patton, and I'm from Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street, and you're listening to Out Chicago.
And welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller, rolling along. Actually, we're steamrolling along today.
Steam coming out of our ears.
Steam. Look, these are kooky pants times, and again, I always go back to my moral barometer, Fred Rogers, who always says, in these times, look for the helpers.
That's right.
And I can't think of the LGBT National Help Center provides vital peer support, community connections, and resource information through helplines and online chat rooms. And joining us now is founder and president of the LGBT National Help Center, Brad Becker. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We're so glad that you're here. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you've been listening. I haven't taken a breath in about 40 minutes. So for our listeners who might not be aware, what is the history of the LGBT National Help Center?
Yeah, so we've been around 28 years, and what we do is provide support for people very often who are feeling very isolated throughout the country and sometimes internationally, people who are dealing with issues around sexual orientation and or gender identity and expression. We often speak with people who are first coming out and have never spoken to anyone before. We do this through a series of hotlines that we offer, as well as online chat and moderated chat rooms for young folks to be able to talk. So we do that in a number of ways. What we're obviously hearing now are from a lot of people who are very, very scared about what's been going on since the election, and so we're dealing with a lot of frightened people.
Yeah. Can I ask, what was the impetus 28 years ago? Because it was your idea.
Yes, and I was fortunate to put together a great group of people to help me with that. I had originally started as a volunteer when I lived in New York City at the local LGBT hotline, which is now a part of our work, and that particular New York hotline is the oldest LGBTQ hotline in the world, and it's over 50 years old.
Wow.
So I started volunteering there and saw that many of our calls were coming from all over the country, even though we were really a local New York hotline. And so it kind of was the impetus to start to look into, would it be feasible to start a national hotline? And we did, obviously. And when we started looking into it, we undertook a study to see, well, how many other local hotlines were out there and what kind of work were they doing? And we found that there were about 150 local hotlines, LGBTQ hotlines, and they varied greatly. Some of them only gave resources, some of them only gave peer support, some of them gave advice. So we kind of spent about a year and a half figuring out what we wanted to do and whether there were enough communities that weren't being served to warrant this, and we found that there were. Interestingly and sadly, we've undertaken another survey a few years ago to see, well, how many local queer hotlines still exist, and it's under 10, down from 150. So a lot of fewer resources for that service because it's incredibly labor intensive to make sure that you always have enough volunteers. It's always ongoing training, and it's rough for volunteers. You're talking to people who are going through really difficult situations. So we found that more and more there's a handful of hotlines, most of them national now in scope, that provide this support.
So, Brad, you mentioned so many people are calling now. We're in these troubled times. What are you telling them to ease their minds?
That's such a good question. I wish there were an easy answer, Ellen.
Right.
I know. That's why I gave it to you, because you're the one on the front lines.
Well, thank you. One of the things we want to do is not blue sky it. And we're certainly not going to say to people on the phones, oh, don't worry, this is nothing, it will blow over. But what we are trying to help people do is slow down this sense of panic and to kind of take a breath, take it one step at a time. We're still learning a lot of things about what may happen. We're still understanding where there are going to be lawsuits and court challenges, and we're starting to see those happening now. How that will play out over time, we don't know. But one of the main things we're stressing is that we are all in this together, and that each of our callers are not out there alone. Each of them are part of a very strong community. We've been through very troubling times in our past. And we've gotten through them, and we know that we will get through this, but it's going to be a tough number of years, and we're not sugarcoating that, but we're here for each other, and our organization is here for them as well as many other organizations, and let's stick together and lean in and be strong. And that's the message that we're trying to convey to people.
Well, thank you for
Brad,
that.
my blood pressure is already dropping right
Here
now.
Yes.
Thank you. You've just reminded me of what I try to preach is like, don't panic. And right now I think my anger is coming across as panic. And I guess I'm not panicked, because I do believe that there are people like the folks at the LGBT National Help Center who are, like I said, Fred Rogersing it up, just being the helpers. What sort of resources and services does the LGBT National Help Center provide?
Well, I think if we boil it down to two main things, it's peer support. It's person-to-person talking to people about the fears that they may have, about the issues that they have. I think it's important to remember that during this particularly rough time, we're still dealing with all the things that we always have been before. We're still dealing with the 14-year-old who is struggling to come out. We're still dealing with people dealing with relationship issues. So all of that is still happening. And then layering on top of this is all of this new stuff that's happened since the election, and that contributes obviously to people's fears, and there's quite an overlay between those things. So we're dealing with a lot. We talk with people, one volunteer to one caller at a time. And the other main thing that we do is we've developed what's become the largest LGBTQ resource database in the world. We have over 19,000 local resources, almost all for within the United States. So in times like this, when people do feel very alone and very scared, we're able to utilize that database to say, there is a support group that might be near to your area. There might be a way to just be socially involved with people so that you're not isolated. There may be professional counselors. There may be, we have all sorts of information. So we're able to very quickly find resources when they exist near someone so that in addition to talking with us, they can sit together with other people and form those bonds and be supportive be support for each other. So I think that's a very important component of what we offer as well.
Yeah, especially like finding people in real life, as IRL, as they say, because as a culture, we become so as you said, isolated. We are on our phones, on our computers. We are away. But I think one of the best way to ease anxiety is to find community. And if you're able to find a safe space and to be with like-minded folks, that really will help allay a lot of folks' fears.
Very true. And I think one of the things that we're also kind of talking to people about when they are in this sense of understandable kind of panic is thinking about where they're getting information from right now, where they're spending their time. And social media can be very useful, but social media can also be sometimes not the best place to be in a time like this. And so for some callers, we're talking to them about is being on social media constantly helping you.
Right.
And I think that when there's a lack of very specific information, people will fill that hole with information that isn't always accurate or that just stirs the fear even more. So for some people, it could be a matter of stepping back a bit and giving themselves a bit of a break. It doesn't mean being completely disconnected, but maybe not spending 4 or 5 hours a day, doom scrolling online. So we're talking about that, and that also, I think, connects them to where are there places where you can actually sit with other people, get a cup of coffee, go for a drink, do whatever it is, and just talk and be supportive for them and have them be supportive for you in real life. And that can be very helpful too.
Brett, are you finding that people are calling more from, let's say, red states or areas outside of, big cities like Chicago and New York and LA, or is it just, is it disproportionate or is it equal?
It is not equal. It is, if you hold up the classic maps that they showed during election times of the red and blue states, and that's kind of where you can find our callers, and that's not really surprising. It's not to say that we also don't get calls from big cities too, but it's mostly from states where there are already attempts, and sometimes successfully, to other our community. And so this just further makes it a more frightening place. And so we do get a lot of our calls from small, rural, conservative, religious areas where people don't feel welcome to begin with. And now this is just an added layer of that.
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's kind of
We don't have much time left, but I was wondering, I'm assuming that, social media is a great tool. I'm assuming that you use social media to reach out, to get the word out. Have you noticed a change in your reach?
Yes.
Yeah.
We've noticed more and more people availing ourselves of our messaging on social media, and one of the things that we're trying to do is give out that message of stay strong. We're also giving resources not only for ourselves but other organizations that can be helpful to people, so that they feel that there's something tangible they can do. One of the other big things we're seeing is that a lot more people are coming to us and asking to volunteer. We are primarily an all-volunteer organization, and people want to do something. And I think a lot of people, when these things happen, can feel stuck. And so whether it's volunteering with us, whether it's volunteering with other organizations, getting out of your shell and that fear and tangibly doing something not only benefits the community at large, but it benefits yourself.
Yep.
And so that's something that we're communicating on social media about, and it's really, I think, resonating with people.
Amazing. And I think you are, if I'm correct, you're based in San Francisco. Is that correct? Or
we're at this point, we're pretty much virtual. We've taken advantage of the technology to be able to have volunteers spread out all across the country.
That's what I was getting to. Yeah.
Yes. And that's tremendously helpful, because I think there's nothing better than a caller being able to talk to a volunteer who has lived that same life in a town like they may have, that they're living in.
Yeah.
So we're not having this bubble of our volunteers are in San Francisco, our callers are everywhere but.
Right.
So, if people are interested in volunteering with us or with other groups, they can go to our website at lgbthotline.org. And there's a lot of information about our services. There's information about how to volunteer with us, to look up information on other organizations that might need help. So I would really encourage people to look at our website, and that's kind of a gateway to all of the services that we provide.
Amazing. Brad Becker, founder and president of the LGBT National Help Center. Again, it is lgbthotline.org. If you want to find out information about the hotline, resources, and volunteer opportunities. Brad Becker, thank you so much for taking time out today to join us, and thank you for the very important work you are doing right now.
Much, Brad.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the second hour about Chicago right here on WCPT.
I'd like to welcome you to WCPT AM's Out Chicago. Think of us as Sunday brunch with your gay best friends. Now please welcome your host, Scott Duff.
Welcome back to the second hour of Out Chicago. Scott Duff here and Ellen Miller rolling along.
Rolling.
We got news out of the way, and now it's distractions.
Yes.
Much needed
good
art
distractions.
to fill the soul.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. I love it. A little bit later on this hour, we're going to be speaking with Esho Rasho, who is the writer and performer of the one-person show Dummy in Diaspora. It was a huge hit of the 2024 Edinburgh Fringe Festival. It's going to be making its U.S. premiere here with Jackalope Theater Company on February 26th. We're going to be speaking with him a little bit later on right now, but let me tell you what I am most excited about. Broadway Magic.
Yes.
Broadway Magic, which is coming back to Chicago with the return of Seth's Broadway concert series at the Studebaker Theater in the historic Fine Arts Building. And by Seth, of course, we mean none other than the one and only Seth Rudetsky, Sirius XM Broadway host and music director. And look, Seth has done these concerts here in Chicago with some of the most incredible talents of Broadway, but we get our hometown girl.
Yes, we do.
Hometown hero. Tony Award winner Jessie Mueller is going to be joining Seth on February 15th. And guess what? They are both with us right now. So please welcome to the show, Seth Rudetsky and Jessie Mueller. Welcome, friends.
Hello. Hi, nice vibrato.
Oh my God! Look, that's what I tried.
He tries.
There we are. That's how I'm just gay.
He's got a gay vibrato.
I got a gay vibrato. It's not come by it honestly.
Gay vibrato.
There you go. Gay vibrato.
First up, welcome both of you. Welcome back, Seth. Welcome, Jessie. We're so excited to have you coming back home to Chicago. Are you excited about this whole thing? Of course you are. That's a dumb question. Yes, you are.
It is. Oh yeah, and I'm winter ready. Like as I say, bring it on. You know.
There we go. Well, now, how did you two connect? Aside from being just fancy pants Broadway folks.
It's a really good question. No one's ever asked that. Didn't we first meet at your Seth? What was it called? Your Not Since High School. I feel like that's when I first officially. No, that's not when I first officially met you. That's the first time I feel like we really hung out. But I remember I came on your show.
Yeah, well, first of all, you swiped left.
I came in your show with David, right?
Tinder. No, you swiped left on Tinder. You rejected me, which I found rude.
And then,
I had a
You
talk
called
show
me.
each week called exactly. I had a talk show called Seth's Broadway Chatterbox for Broadway Cares Equity by Sage, and Jesse was throwing it on the clip that you could see forever, and everyone was like, "This woman from Chicago is the biggest Broadway star ever." And I never got to see the show, but my friend David Turner was in it. So I said, "David, can you please bring your co-star to my talk show?" Jesse came on. I became obsessed. And then the next time we did anything was when I was raising money for high school arts programs, not since high school. And I asked Jesse, "Can you please recreate your high school role?" And Jesse, of course, you. Illinois, right? You went like Evanston? What was the name of your high school?
Evanston. Yeah, Evanston, Illinois. Evanston Township High School.
ETHS, come on, Wildcats.
ETHS, for the cool kids.
Right. And the rest is Broadway
Queens.
history.
And the rest is
Yes,
history.
history.
Yes.
So I know that these evenings aren't entirely pre-planned. You know, one of the best things about going to see the Seth's Broadway concert series that's coming up on the 15th at the Studebaker is the sense of play, improvisation, the sense of storytelling. But I mean, come on, you gotta have something, a little something planned. What if? I mean, can you spill the
a
tea?
taste.
Steph does play the
I'll
piano,
feel this.
so that's planned.
Yes,
He
but
has
just
played
my
it
right
before,
hand. Just my right hand.
but just the right hand. So I'll be doing the left, and then yeah.
Amazing.
We'll see what happens. No, I make Jessie sing all of her hit songs from Carousel, Fist, and Beautiful. All, and I'm like, you have to. You've got a friend. You have to do this. But within it, there's no preset pattern. I introduce anything I want, and the songs lead to natural things. I just mentioned on the last radio show, I said, "Jessie, you'd be so perfect for Les Mis. Why were you never Eponine?" And she's like, "I don't know." And I was like, "Hit it!" And I forced her to sing all my songs.
I dreamed a dream, time gone by.
And she rises to the occasion, I'm sure.
Oh, and
I was like, I'm stuck in the shower, but never in front of people. So yeah,
there's your chance.
There's been a couple of moments like that where it was like, here's my shower feature in front of people who paid. But to me, that's like half the fun of it. And I love being in an audience when I really feel like something is live and the energy is live, the connection is live. There's that transference. Like, to me, that's where it's at. So that's definitely what this show is all about.
Well, yeah. Well, and the two of you are just, such dynamic folks and everything. And Seth, you're a shy, blushing flower. So it's going to be really hard to get you to come out of your shell.
I really bring out his personality, during this series.
And we thank you for
somebody
that.
needs to do that.
lead. Yeah, I lead the charge because, like you said, he's so shy, and I sometimes have to push him out on stage, but. Once Dr. Footlights takes over, it will not work.
Yes.
Well,
Broadway, Dr. Footlights, yes.
Jessie, you come from a ridiculously talented family. I mean, like I said, y'all are the Von Trapps. It's amazing.
Oh, gee, thanks.
You've received a Tony for your work in Beautiful, nominations galore. I mean, and Seth kind of was talking about a high school performance, but do you remember what your very first role was?
I feel like my sister and I were we're just joking about this. And then we were trying to figure out the name of the song. I do remember being in a school, it was like a spring pageant, and there was a song about all the animals or something, and I was a worm.
Okay.
And I sang something about, it was like me and another kid, Joshua Ray, we played the Wiggly Worms. It was like, if I was a wiggly worm, I thank the Lord that I could squirm, or something like that. And it was all about, everybody has a place, and everybody's wonderful, all the animals in the world. It was that sort of thing. So, yes, I was a worm.
A worm. Excellent. I remember my first was, I was in The Foolish Molar. And I played Johnny, the kid whose mouth the foolish molar lived in. It was very meta.
Ooh, that is.
Yes.
Wow.
It was all about keeping
deep.
tooth decay away.
So, Jessie, is there?
What a message!
I know.
What a
I've been a very
message.
political
Yes,
theater
it was a
person
public
my
service.
entire life. Started out with tooth decay in second grade and moved on to about face theater, talking about gay stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
So, is there a role
that
is there a role, Jessie, out there that maybe a classic Broadway musical or something you've seen that you wish was turned into a Broadway musical that you would love to play that you haven't done yet?
Oh, that's so interesting. Something that maybe was turned into. Ooh, I think maybe Someday a Mama Rose. And then when you said something that hasn't been turned into a musical, I feel like they were trying to make Bridget Jones' Diary into a musical for a long time. I don't know if that ever happened, but that was a favorite movie of mine.
I can see it. I can see it.
That was a favorite movie of mine.
Jesse, yes. Can I just say one thing about you playing the worm, Jesse? I will say in the 80s, I did the worm, if anyone's impressed by that.
Yeah, you still are. And Jesse, I was thinking about coming home. Is there a place, a restaurant, a food that you crave that when you come back to Chicago area, you're like, I must make a stop there?
Oh, I used to live in Andersonville, and I love Taste of Heaven. I used to live like on that block.
Yep.
It's, what is it, Balmoral and Clark?
Yep.
Yeah, Clark. It's not Ashland. It's Balmoral and Clark. Everything, the breakfast there, the cupcakes there, the scones. I have a gluten allergy now, and there's also a gluten-free bakery now, like across the street,
right across the street, Deflowered.
So I can hit that one block. Yeah, I can hit that one block, and there's a place, I think still there, it's called Vincent. It was a really good kind of bistro-y place.
I just spent my birthday there.
Some of my other faves are... Oh, did you really?
Yeah. You know, I want something like Tony and like, you know, tall ceilings and loud environment.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah.
And what else? And other favorites?
That and our other favorite was growing up all the time in Evanston. There was a joint called it's still there. It's just moved around a lot, called Dave's Italian Kitchen.
Yes.
That was a family favorite.
Very famous.
My parents used to go when they were in college.
Sure.
And then, like, when they had kids, so they would bring us all. And, I have very fond memories of going there.
It's a classic spot. I'm glad it's still there.
I just want to say something quickly.
Yeah.
Because you guys are because you guys are theater people, and this is the kind of stuff that we talk about. Jesse, can you please tell them both? You mentioned you have a gluten allergy. It's so showbiz. Can you tell them why you know you have a gluten allergy?
Oh, well, actually, I did find out I had a gluten allergy while I was doing the show Waitress, which is about a pie baker, and there was a lot of flour involved during the show.
Oh, no.
Like actual flour. I didn't have to eat any of the pie during it, but I was like, just in my daily life, I was like, oh, I feel like something's going on. I don't feel great. And sure enough, I realized that I was throwing flour into the air during this one song, and I would always come off backstage and cough a lot. And my dresser was like, she always had my water ready, but she's like, you're coughing more after this one song. So then I went to my doctor's, blah, 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 cut to discovered probably have a gluten allergy, started cutting out of my diet, asked the prop guy if he could switch to gluten-free flour, and then I never really had that problem.
Wow. Oh, my gosh. That is hilarious. That is brilliant.
Isn't that so inside?
That is so, so nerdy and wonderful.
It was what baking can do. But then, of course, if you only hear the end of the story, it's like, Jessie Mueller's such a diva. She demanded gluten-free flour and Waitress. But it's so not her at all.
I'm sure.
No, of course. I know.
I'm sure.
That is hilarious. Well, hey, we were talking about dream roles, Bridget Jones's Diary. That's like a fantastic one. And, of course, Mama Rose, which you are far too young to be playing right now.
Love you, darling.
But
someday.
But Seth, darling, didn't you just have a recent turn as Edna Turnblad in Hairspray?
This is actually a perfect show to talk about this. Jesse, I only sent Jesse an audio message. She didn't know about it. Just in a nutshell, it's so bizarre.
I just got
There's
the
this
scoop.
great theater teacher named just so I told her. So David Green, who was this theater teacher for all these wonderful people from Orange County, like Stephanie J. Block and Matt Morrison and Christian Rodriguez and Mendes, he wrote me and he said, listen, I'm running a high school in Palm Springs, and we bring in equity people to play the leads. We just did Sunset Boulevard with Karen Mason and Secret Garden with Daisy Egan. Would you play Edna? And I was like, no. I said, I still don't see myself doing that role. And I happened to be on my radio show interviewing Carrie Butler, Marisha Jarvinoker, and Laura Bell Bundy that same day.
Oh, my gosh,
and I said, oh, my God, this guy wants me to play. Is that weird? I said, this guy wants to play Edna. And they're like, you have to. And because he brings in other equity people, I said, well, what if I brought my husband James to play Wilbur? And we're doing it. And first of all, it's really a high school production. So I feel like Jerry Blank from Strangers with Candy.
It's so great.
Like literally, she's 48. And I think we're the first married couple ever to play Edna and Wilbur. So we're literally married singing Your Timeless to Me. And it's been like beautiful to like be with my husband singing about being married. It's incredible. And in Palm Springs, which the weather's very similar to Chicago. I'm in Palm Springs right now.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
But like what an incredible opportunity.
This is still going on? Sorry, I just jumped in like I was the interviewer.
No, go for it.
No, yeah, We began rehearsals Sunday afternoon, and we quote-unquote opened Friday. So we have 4 days of rehearsals, and today's our final performance. And now all I want to do is play this role every day of the week. I'm having the best time in the world, and the tickets are so wonderful.
Tickets to Palm Springs.
I know, right?
Yeah, in the next hour and a half when I go on. Yes.
But
One
what?
night only.
But what an incredible opportunity because it literally is a high school production. What an incredible opportunity for these students to listen to your, like, to just to watch your performance, but also to the mentorship, the inspiration that it provides. When I saw that happen, because I follow you devotedly on the socials, that I just like, wow, it speaks just so highly of you as a person who's willing to like take time out and to spending mad dash of a week to go do this show. But like, what an experience it must be for those students as a former
kids,
it's
cool.
So cool. Yeah. And this is the kind of vibe that you're going to be getting when you all head to like the Seth's Broadway concert series at the Studebaker Theater on the 15th. You're going to have Jesse jumping in, interviewing everybody else. You're going to have songs from the showers. We can make up a song from Bridget Jones's Diary. I think it'd be.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
Make up a song.
Yes, do it. I believe in you.
I was wearing a carpet.
Yes.
I was wearing a carpet. Those are my favorite lines. Great.
Well, I cannot wait for it to be turned into song, and we cannot wait to get our butts down into the Studebaker Theater in the Historic Fine Arts Building on the 15th to check out Seth's Broadway concert series with Seth Rudetsky and a Tony Award winner and just like Chicago superstar and Jesse Mueller.
We are so proud of you.
We're so proud of you
and your whole family.
And yes.
Oh gosh, thanks.
You're very welcome. But if you want to
The
try
Muellers.
The Muellers. They are. This thing ain't Muellers. Here we go. There we go.
Did your sister play, did Abby play in the Chicago's version of A Beautiful when it came?
Oh, yeah.
It was. That's what I thought.
And I saw her do it in Chicago.
Yeah.
Now I'm blanking on what theater was at, but it was incredible.
It was at the Nederlander, I think. And then I saw your brother last year at Marriott.
Harry Potter.
Oh my God, he was fantastic and beautiful.
Oh, and Harry
beautiful.
Potter too.
I didn't see Harry Potter.
Yeah, Seth. Andrew did beautiful at the Marriott. Matt was doing Harry Potter, and then I just realized we were realizing that they're also doing beautiful now at. Don't get me screwed up, Jess.
At the Paramount.
I think they're doing Waitress at the Paramount and beautiful at Drury Lane.
Drury Lane.
Right now.
That's right.
Isn't that wild? And then Seth's show Disaster at. Oh shoot! What is it? Theater Edge or something? I'm trying to remember. In Des Plaines.
Des Plaines Theater. Yeah,
we have to look this up, but yeah.
See,
you're everywhere.
It was incredible.
Yeah, y'all are just like Visa. Everywhere we want to be. That is you.
Aww. And I just want audiences to know.
Slogan.
Jesse has the most. Jessie has the most versatile voice of anyone I work with. She's literally full high soprano carousel, full pop singing and beautiful, full current pop singing and Waitress. Jessie literally can sing anything. So this show is going to be out of control.
Oh, I can't wait.
I know, it's going to be amazing. So if you want to get tickets, make sure you go to fineartsbuilding.com/events for Seth's Broadway concert series with Jesse Mueller, Seth Rudetsky. Jesse Mueller, thank you so much for taking time out today to join us.
Break
all the legs and stay away from that flower.
Thanks, God, Nolan. Yeah, I was going to say, look out for the flowers.
Look out for the flower. All right, break all again. February 15th down at the Fine Arts Building.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great to have you both.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all. We are going to have to take a quick break, and when we come back, there is more Out Chicago right here on WCPT.
Hi, this is Renee Taylor. You're listening to Out Chicago, WCPT 820.
Welcome back to Out Chicago. Scott Duff here, along with Ellen Miller. We are feeding our souls
Yes,
with art.
Yes, we are.
With art, and Jackalope Theater Company's 17th season continues with the U.S. premiere of one of the breakout hits of the 2024 Edinburgh Fringe Festival, Dummy in Diaspora. It runs February 26th through March 23rd, and it's written and performed by Isho Rasho and directed by Karina Patel. Joining us now is Isho Rasho. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us today, and congrats on all of the success. How did Dummy in Diaspora come to fruition?
Oh God, it sort of all happened very unexpectedly. I wrote Dummy about a year ago now, January of 2024, and I know I wrote it, and I really never thought it would get produced. And I think that's why I wrote what I did, right? Because I gave myself the freedom to write anything. Mm-hmm. And I had read it to a friend, and we just got in a room together and just started working on it. And we put it up at this improv theater that gave us a one night a week at 9 p.m. on a Wednesday.
A perfect time slot. Prime.
A perfect time slot with no marketing help, no nothing. And we actually sold out every single one of those performances simply by word of mouth.
Okay.
And so we recorded one of those performances, and I got some push to continue the show. I didn't think it would be continued, and then so I submitted to a few venues at the Edinburgh Festival Fringe, which is the largest theater festival in the world.
Mm-hmm. It is my place of enchantment.
Lucky. Yeah, it's really cool, and we were lucky to be in a curated program there where we ran the entire fest, and we got some really exciting reviews with 4 stars from The Scotsman, Broadway Baby, 3 Weeks, and Culture Fix. We were shortlisted for a Performers Award, and we were rated an excellent show by Fringe Review. So we got really exciting critical response for something that was, this was 8 months, not 7 months after I wrote it.
That's just incredible.
Thank you. And then Karina, who's the director of this show, is the new works manager at Jackalope, and she asked for a recording and a script, and I signed it to her while I was in Edinburgh, and then that's kind of how it's coming about at Jackalope. But at Jackalope, we're in Edinburgh and the productions before were very bare bones, right? So no set, minimal lighting, minimal sound. It was literally just me and my friend making it. You know what I mean? There was no team of designers. Mm-hmm. And so now with Jackalope picking up the show, the show's really going to have its full fleshed life, right? We have an entire design team. We are fully realized with a set designer, a lighting designer, a sound designer. So this really is a new production of Dummy in Diaspora with Karina as the director now, who is absolutely brilliant. So I think the show's going to be the best it's ever been and really reach its potential at Jackalope. And, I'm from Chicago, and so I'm so excited to bring the show back to where it was born.
Nice. Yeah, well, and not so long ago. That is an incredibly fast journey for any sort of play. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about what the show is about?
Yeah, of course. Dummy in Diaspora is a coming-of-age solo play about a first-generation American boy. It's a queer solo play, and it really delves into the heartbreak, I think, the vulnerability, the really absurd and funny moments of coming of age as a queer person in America, especially someone who's first generation. The character's name is Issa in the show, and so that's what it really entails a lot. I really often struggle to write a synopsis for the show because it covers so many things, but there is a through line, and that through line is I think the show questions who is American, what does it mean to be American, just in how vast the American experience is. I think Dummy gives a really specific narrative, but I think what surprised me the most from doing the show in Edinburgh is how many people related to it who had completely different identities from the character Issa. And Issa's a Middle Eastern American boy whose parents are refugees, and so navigating that, right, being first generation, and then his parents, and also navigating queerness in America. So Issa's coming of age is quite not so simple. And that's the story, I think it's the roller coaster. There's just some moments that I think are just really absurd and funny, right? And then I think there's moments of the show that are just vulnerable and human. I think we just see a human at some points beyond all of the identities.
Well, that's how people connect to it, is because when you make something very specific, it unlocks the universal. You know, when you can. Yeah. So I'm still just amazed that it's not even been a full year.
Yeah, did the germ of the idea, Isha, was it in your head for a long time, or did it just kind of pop in? I mean, how did it?
Honestly, no, it was not something I planned. I had only written one full play before while I was in college, and it was like a multi-person play. It was like a traditional play, and that will never leave my laptop for good reason.
It was never produced. That's for you.
Yeah,
that's for you.
It's just for me, and I never tried to get it produced. But I have to like write a lot, and I'll like abandon a project. Right, so there's many unfinished projects on my laptop. But Dummy, one day I was like, okay, I was sitting down writing, and I got the thought of like, oh my God, like a solo play. Like I'd never given myself the permission to even write a solo play. And I sat in my room for 3 days writing. So I really wrote the gist of Dummy in just 3 days. Obviously went back and edited a lot.
Right.
But yeah, it came to me in the moment. It was not something that I planned or anything.
That's amazing.
But it was kind of just coming out of me. Yeah,
you were visited by genius. You know, it's kind of like Steel Magnolias, I believe, was also written in 5 days. You know, so there's that. But it's like when the moment hits, you know, how fortunate and how wonderful for you to be listening enough to answer that call, to write this down.
Yeah.
You know, you were saying that, like, I guess in those 3 days that you were writing everything down, you said that you didn't think that this was going to be produced. So it gave you a certain amount of freedom. Do you feel like that freedom has been compromised now, or have there been things that you've had to go back and revisit?
I do not think that freedom has been compromised. I mean, it's such a supportive team, especially now. I mean, from like Edinburgh French to Jackalope, I have been making a few more edits. You know, we're just trying to make it the best it could be.
Right.
And for example, like if a moment doesn't work, but I feel like I still have a very similar amount of freedom with the team at Jackalope. Like, they really are kind of just like letting me do, like in terms of the control of the text, like I do not feel limited. I do not feel like I have to compromise the story at all. I think we're getting closer to more truth, a deeper truth with the team, because now I'm collaborating with so many amazing artists, so many, and I love collaboration. It's really important to me, because sometimes, like for example, someone can see something that I don't, even if it is my writing, like they'll notice a theme, and that is really important for me. So I feel like I do not think that freedom has been compromised. But I do think if I go back to the past and talk to myself of last year in January, and I'm like, this is what's going to happen the next year, I would be like, no, it won't. No, it's not. You're lying.
It's amazing. It gives hope to everybody out there.
Does your pride, and I would imagine you have pride, Isha, in being in Middle Eastern American, does it conflict with your values and your identity as being LGBTQ?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a really interesting thing to navigate. You know, I was born in the U.S., so all I've known was the United States.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely is conflicting, but I guess that's what kind of Dummy really tackles, is that identity. They definitely can conflict at times. I'm fortunate to have people in my life who are really supportive, but yeah, it's not the easiest thing, and it's like, there's the experience of being a Middle Eastern American person, and then also queerness, and then the intersectionality of that, and then like finding your voice and your identity and your confidence is, I think, the hardest thing, because it's like two different identities that are marginalized.
Yeah, exactly. That's what strikes me.
But I think, I think if I wasn't born into this identity, Dummy would have never come about, and Dummy's absolutely changed my life. And so I think now I see it as a gift. I see the intersection of those identities as a gift now, whereas probably when I was younger, it was just like more of like difficulty for me, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's put you in a great place now.
Can you explain the title, Dummy and Diaspora? Is Essa a dummy?
Issa is a dummy, I think. Yes. No, it's okay. Dummy. I mean, I'm curious because I think you can think of like dummy as like someone who is dumb, or like a literal like plastic dummy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I asked people, I'm like, what do you think about the title? Like, what do you imagine when you think dummy? And honestly, I've gotten both responses. I think it's Dummy that I asked her because of so much of the show is just so absurd. Like some of the experiences that Issa has, I mean, you can't make them up. They're just absolutely so absurd. And a big part of the story is Issa navigating his relationship with his mother. Mm-hmm. And I think Issa's mama is kind of like a really absurd human. And when I thought of Dummy because I'm like, that is the only way to like grasp the absurdity of the show. I mean, like, we have like a Middle Eastern American woman who comes to America and has the child named Issa, and it's like navigating that. Like, Mama is really, really, the character Mama is, I think, an absurd character. And she's quite a big part of the story, all played by one actor.
All played by me. You're like, all played by me. Isha Russia.
Me. Yeah. Exactly.
How many characters do you embody during Dummy and Diaspora?
I think there's like main ones. Like Mama's the main one. Obviously Issa. Total. I have to say like 15.
Okay. All righty. And what are some of the challenges that you've discovered? Because you said, I never allowed myself to write a solo piece. For me, what have you learned as a performer, writer, actor, doing this, but just as a human being? What has kind of cracked open with this journey of Dummy and Diaspora, which is going to be making its U.S. premiere at the Jackalope Theater on February 26th?
I think to believe in my ideas when maybe nobody else does at first. Mm-hmm. That's definitely something that I've really learned.
It's a hard one to learn.
It is a hard one to learn, and I think it's something for me that I couldn't have learned without the experience that I had. But like, I kind of had to like really fully commit myself to the belief in Dummy prior to it like unfolding into what it is. I think. I definitely trust my work more than I ever have, although at times I still get really insecure about it. I'll be in rehearsal, because we're in rehearsal right now, and I'll be in rehearsal and be like, no, what is this? What did I create?
Right.
I have those like moments. I'm like, where I still get really insecure about it, honestly.
Yeah.
But then I can talk myself back from that now, whereas like before I would really believe those thoughts. Whereas I'm like, okay, no, like, your ideas have worked. At one time, maybe they won't work this time, but there's just one time where they have worked.
But it's really, really hard to I will speak for myself as somebody who, as a writer, performer, there's the inner saboteur does a lot inside your head to kind of mess around, and then it's like, no, this is.
Is that the imposter syndrome?
It's the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
But somebody say like, this isn't funny, this doesn't hit right, blah, blah, blah. Like, there's all that. I mean, it's never being the critique, but it's like, no, what I have to say is valuable, and this story provides value.
Exactly. And I think that's something that can sustain artists rather than like, is it good?
Yeah.
I think I ask myself a lot, is it good or is it bad? But I think there's like more specific questions to ask, like, this is. And it's like rooted in truth, for example, right? I'm like, okay, this is real, this is specific, and it comes from a real place. And sometimes that's all that matters versus is it good, is it bad?
Yeah, is it real? That I think that is
real.
And the audience lets you know, and that's when you say, okay, my instincts were correct. I belong here.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very true. And I think Dummy comes from me as a writer from a really real place. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's exciting about it, But I'm really excited to share. Yeah, I'm really excited to bring it back to Chicago. Like with my community. I mean, I went to DePaul, so I have like my college community. I'm from Chicago, so I just have a lot of people who I'm just so excited, and just a community that I'm so excited to share it with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and I can only imagine like how different it is going from playing, an improv theater at 9:00 on a Wednesday to having a fully realized production with a mainstay of the Chicago theater scene, Jackalope Theater Company, for basically a month run. Like that's got to be kind of mind blowing. Like,
you have arrived.
And they produce like 2 shows a year, so I'm like, oh, okay. So I mean, it's really been great. Yeah, and like we start performances at the end of this month, December 26th, I think. Yeah. Yep. But really, the design team is really, really great. Yeah, and this is like a totally. Even if someone has seen Dummy, for example, in Edinburgh, like this is going to feel like a new production in the best way.
Nice.
Well, amazing. Well, we are all very, very excited for the U.S. premiere of Dummy in Diaspora. It is written and performed by Isho Rasho and presented by Jackalope Theater Company, which is going to run from February 26th through March 23rd. For tickets and more information, go to jackalopetheater.org, and that's theater with an R-E because they are fancy that way. Isho, congratulations on all of the success that you've had so far. Congratulations on cracking things open and embracing your artistic truth. And nothing but a successful run for you, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All the best to you.
All the best. Hey, we've got to take a quick break, and when we come back, it is the final thrilling show-stopping moments about Chicago right here on WCPT Heartland Signal.
I'm Jen Grosshandler.
And I'm Chazzy Grosshandler.
We're with the Gender Cool Project, and you're listening to
Out Chicago!
Woot!
Woot! Yeah, come on. We love the Gender Cool Project.
Yes, we do.
Go visit their website, Gender Cool Project.
Mm-hmm. Good people.
Doing
good things.
Gendercool.org. Go and give them money.
Yes.
Hey, also,
Yes.
Monday from 5 to 7, Patty Vasquez is going to be joined by positivity expert and podcaster Jen Zanotti and Jeff Badow, licensed certified public accountant and founder and CEO of Badow Enterprises, LLC. Driving it home with Patty Vasquez, 5 to 7 p.m. Central on WCPT 820 a.m. The Heart Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. All of the places. And speaking of, did you know that our show's a podcast?
I did.
Now it only took 11 years, but we got a podcast.
Yes, we do.
Two of them actually. We got full episodes and feature episodes. Just search for Out Chicago wherever you get your podcasts, or get the podcast links on our show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com/out-Chicago. That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
heartlandsignal.com/out-Chicago. On the page, you're going to find recent interviews with Vanessa Severin, Michael Cheyenne, Randy Rainbow, Judy Gold, Chicago Alderperson, Lamont Robinson, Michelle Williams of Death Becomes. There's so much more. I bet you Seth and Jesse are going to be there.
Probably.
Being all goofy.
Yeah.
And doing
They're
all that
great.
stuff. Again, go to heartlandsignal.com/out-Chicago.
That's it.
I'll go.
Do it.
All right, it's the big game. I know I
Yes.
fulfilled the lesbian thing.
Come on.
I know there are more than people like that. I
There's a
just
lot
don't
of
really
people
care.
Well, it's, it's
This seems like, okay, here's the deal. It seems like nobody cares about this one. Because it's like a repeat.
Well, the people care that have gambled. Apparently, we've
of course
broken
gamblers.
all records on gambling this year. 1.39 billion, up from 1.25 billion last year.
Oh.
So maybe there's more gambling when people don't care about the game because it's a way of keeping them interested in the game. I know I like to do the squares. I've always been a fan of Super Bowl
I
squares.
don't get squares.
Well, they're very easy to
I
get.
know, I
They're
just don't get it.
It's a basic thing.
I
You
just don't get squares.
But it's fun because you get to root for a score.
I would
when
always
you
think I'm
don't have
playing
any
bingo.
When you don't have any allegiance. What?
It always feels like playing bingo. With squares, that's what I think. I think of like
in a way,
a
because like
coverall.
at the end of the quarter, let's say the score is 13-10. If
Okay.
you have 3 for one team and 0 for the other team, and when your square is, then you win the money for that quarter, whatever they've collected. Whether it's sometimes it's $50, $100, depending on what the cost of the scores were. So it gives you something to root for. I mean, obviously, America's crazy with gambling.
I don't like to gamble.
This is my kind of gambling. Just like, here's $20. Here's $5. I mean, it's very small.
I'd rather go buy eggs with my $20.
But it gives you a way to, there you go. Priorities. Maybe you'll buy more eggs if you win. I don't know. It's a way when you don't have a horse in the game to stay interested and involved. And there's going to be Kendrick Lamar. There's going to be, who's going to be there. Taylor's going to be there. The commercials are going to be there. There's a lot to watch. Some of it not all good, but hopefully most of it
Yeah,
will
it's
be.
really weird because I was listening to something earlier this week where they were saying that. Well, first off, I'm very confused about the Ding Dong being at the game anyway because I thought he hated the NFL because they took the knee. That's diversity, equity, inclusion all over the place. So I thought we were mad at the NFL, like the GOP was mad at the NFL. But I heard something earlier that was like, They were saying it was a host of some sports podcast.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that the Super Bowl is one of the few cultural touchstones that we still have left as a country because we don't watch the same TV shows anymore.
That's
We don't watch
true.
the same movies.
Award shows, people don't care about
People don't
them.
care about
Yeah.
that. They're mad at Hollywood or
Right.
whatever, you know.
That's true. I mean, it is like a national holiday. And they've talked about having Monday being a national day
Oh,
off.
it's because everybody's, well, that's
Because
dumb.
people are, or moving it to Saturday because there's nothing going on the Saturday, doing it on
there's Super Bowl
Saturdays.
Saturday.
That is a tradition of football on Sunday. But it is.
Yeah, because of God.
Yeah. That's why.
Yeah.
It's an excuse. We're having friends over. I'm making my traditional, I haven't made it in a couple of years, my Super Bowl meal, which is a homemade barbecue chicken pizza.
Okay. Oh, I know this pizza.
Yes,
You've
and
spoken of this many
yes,
times.
And I haven't made it in a couple of years, so I'm
right.
resurrecting that because the couple that's coming over, one of them has been coming for years, and I used to make it, and she kind of requested
She was like,
it.
"Hey, could you now? Do you make your own barbecue sauce?"
I don't.
Okay, that's great.
I don't. I make my own crust, my
That's
dough.
how you make your own dough.
But I
you
have
do
a
everything.
fabulous barbecue sauce that I get from Nashville.
What's it called?
It's Jack's, and I get the Texas Sweet Hot.
I love a Texas sweet.
And it is, I get it mail order, or when we're in Nashville, we bring it home. I will mix that in with another one that I have to cut down a little bit on the spice because not everybody likes the same level. It's more like a Sweet Baby Ray's meets the Sweet Hot.
Okay.
And I do. I'm going to do the chicken in a barbecue sauce. I'm going to saute it, and then we do caramelized onions, which Kathy, I think,
is
is doing
caramelizing right now.
right as we speak. Yeah, we're going to
She's always very busy in the kitchen when you're here.
She is, because usually we do something
She's
on
chopping.
a Sunday. She's chopping.
She's getting her mise en
She's
place.
chopping. So, I haven't made a home. I got to bring up the bread machine from downstairs and carry that thing up. But I make a homemade dough. I'm using a new recipe from the New York Times where they use a double O flour, which is supposedly a different grind of wheat for better for your dough. We'll find out.
We'll see.
I'm making homemade guacamole.
Nice.
And
now, with your guac, do you go? I love that we're going into like food because that's
Yes,
definitely where we go.
we haven't done it in a while.
Where with your guac? How do you? For me, I always like the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, and it's just bare bones, and it's always fantastic. Do you?
I use what's his name? Alton Brown's recipe.
Okay.
Which is aroma tomato after you de-seed it, so it doesn't have any, it doesn't dilute anything. I use sweet onion, jalapeno, cilantro, lots of lime. Smash the avocados, and then cumin. I'm trying to memorize the recipe. Cumin, fresh garlic, cumin. Some chili powder, salt and pepper.
Interesting.
And it is
fancy.
It is killer, baby.
It's delish.
People love that guac that I
Love
make.
it.
Yeah,
That's great.
And I still found avocados to be reasonable, still at 79 cents each. So I was
there
lucky.
you go. There you go. You know that this is the second largest food holiday of the year.
I believe it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It is.
I was trying to come up with a Super Bowl dessert, but I didn't. So I think we're just going to make brownies. Do you have an idea for me?
I don't know. Maybe like a Super Bowl parfait. It seems, I don't know. So wait, we got the Chiefs and the Eagles.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, I don't know.
Eagle eggs. No, eagle.
Some with Philadelphia cream cheese.
Oh.
Look at that. Maybe like,
about
I know
that.
you're good at like the cheesecakes.
Yeah.
That's a little time consuming.
Yeah, that
which,
is.
TikTok.
I
but-
think Kathy's going to make brownies. I think
All
we're
right,
going to do
that'll work.
brownies. I went to the bakery looking for football
cookies,
and they didn't have them because a good sugar cookie with all that sugar that's got the colors on it is always kind of.
Yep.
But we will have a nice spread of food. It's just going to be 4 of us, and we'll see what happens.
Are you rooting for someone?
I am not. I'm rooting for my squares. Kathy is rooting.
I'm looking to make a buck.
Kathy's rooting for Kansas City because it would be history if they were to win three Super Bowls in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so we shall see what happens.
All right.
You know, if I see,
will be very happy.
Taylor will be happy. If I see a game where somebody is like doing like some cheap shots, like players are getting, then I'll root against them.
Okay.
You know, as the game goes.
What if Kansas City starts doing some cheap shots?
Then I won't root for them.
How dare
I won't. I like both quarterbacks. You know,
they're fine. They always like send you Christmas cards.
They do. They love you.
They love you. They're really, really
friends.
great. Yeah.
So we'll see. It's something to do, and it's the end of the NFL season for the year, and things get a little dull sports-wise. And it's because we're in a city with a bunch of losing teams. So,
Bulls aren't doing so.
Oh no,
have they
Blackhawks
started yet?
Oh no.
Has basketball started?
Yeah, it started in November.
Oh, it did?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It starts in November.
That's right. I got everything DVR'd. Got everything. It's the longest season. Actually, it feels like baseball seems longer.
Baseball's the longest.
Tell me about it. They keep. It's like October, and they're still doing that. And we're into November.
And they're starting their spring training this week.
How wonderful.
There you go.
Well, great.
Spring is right around the corner. So you're going to be working, I know, today.
Yeah, I'm working today.
And you're going to try and keep your composure as people are running in for chips and things they forgot and trying to get their last minute.
I try to stand. I have adopted this new weird thing of just like crossing my arms and standing still. It's like when you are lost in the woods. They say like, don't move, just stay where you are. If you're hiking and you get lost, don't move. Stay where you are. That is kind of the vibe.
Contrary to what you feel like doing, but yeah.
And that is the vibe that I get. Like that
it's like a namaste kind of thing.
Well, kind of. It's just more like, all right, just stand still. Because it gets really, really busy.
Oh, I'm sure. It's nuts right now.
Cuckoo bananas. Yeah. It gets cuckoo bananas there.
Does it get quiet after the game starts at 5:30?
A little bit, but then the people who don't care about football come in.
Oh yeah,
There's
them. Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There are people who don't care.
You can relate to them.
Yes, I do not care. But I do care about it. Today I thought we'd do something fun.
Okay.
And I think we should have a new award on our show out of Chicago. The See You Next Tuesday Award.
See You Next Tuesday Award.
And this week the inaugural See You Next Tuesday Award goes to South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace.
Couldn't go to a nicer
who has
person.
positioned herself as a leading voice in the GOP's war against transgender rights. So this lovely lady has introduced anti-trans bathroom bans. Misgendered Delaware Democratic Congresswoman Sarah McBride, the first out trans member of Congress, and sought to use congressional hearings as a platform to push anti-LGBTQ plus rhetoric. This week, Nancy, she repeatedly shouted an anti-trans slur during a House Oversight Committee hearing on Wednesday. Did you see that one?
I didn't see it. No.
You didn't see that? Well, it was jaw-dropping.
Mm-hmm.
She used a T word that sounds kind of like Manny, and repeatedly used it over and over and over again. She eventually pinned a clip of herself saying it to X, saying, "Rumor has it, saying it 3 times summons a leftist meltdown." All right. Nancy, I understand you've had a very hard life. I can only imagine I know you are a survivor of sexual assault, of domestic violence. You have, like people say, pulled yourself up by your bootstraps. You've gone through some really horrible, horrible stuff. And right now, I think what you're trying to do, again, is that whole punch down thing, that bully mentality, where if you make others feel better, you break people down to build yourself up. This whole thing about Sarah McBride, Representative Sarah McBride, the crap that she's having to go through, they're misgendering her all over the place.
So sad and horrible.
They're like, people are calling her the gentleman from Delaware. Like, it's just ridiculous. And Nancy, when you're up there and you're spouting out that T word over and over again, imagine that was the N word and that you just kept saying over and over and over again. How do you think that would be received?
Yeah.
Yeah. premium. I mean, well, who knows? I mean, in this day where diversity, equity, and inclusion is certainly, not a thing anymore. Yeah.
Just imagine if during one of Nancy's speeches, someone started chanting "See you next Tuesday" over and over, and then clipped it saying, "Chanting this 3 times makes the Republicans lose their ever-living minds."
There we are.
Yeah.
So,
she's horrible, despicable.
And I feel like I'm giving her too much time just by even mentioning her. But again, friends out there, I know we've got folks that listen throughout Chicagoland area and folks who listen beyond. If you are in one of those places that is beyond, perhaps you're even in a red state, or even if you're listening here and you have friends or family in a red state, please urge them to call their elected officials. Again, you want to make sure you know exactly who your representatives are. Go to house.gov and to senate.gov. You can find out their contact information there. Call with a detailed bullet-pointed script about what you want done.
And ask for a response.
And ask for a response. And again, ask for an action item. If you do that, they will have to get back to you. And also, you can hold them accountable so that little juju heads like Nancy Mace will hear from us. And that is going to do it for this week's Out Chicago. I want to thank all of our guests today. Brad Becker from the LGBT National Help Center, Tony Award winner Jesse Mueller, Seth Rudetsky, and Isho Rasho. Devin, thank you so much for everything. I appreciate it. Paul, you did a mediocre job. As always, love you for it. Ellen, welcome back.
Happy Valentine's Day, one of your favorite holidays coming up.
Happy Valentine's Day and a happy big game.
Happy big game,
There we
everybody.
are. And I'm Scott Duff. Until next week,
Stay proud.